Good afternoon from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's 12:15 p.m. on the 17th of February 2024. Had to think for a minute. I'm coming back in with my readings of my journal entries. I'm pretty tired, but I slept from about... I made a video before I went to sleep, so I think it was about 5 a.m. that I finally passed out, and I woke up at 11, which was kind of bad because I was late by an hour taking my tablet for my bladder medication, which you're supposed to take at the same time. So oops, actually I was 2 hours late taking it because by the time I dozed and faffed about this morning, it was nearly midday when I took it. So I'm a bit kind of discombobulated, but I'm okay. I had a fabulous time last night, living my best life and delighting in the beautiful magic that is flowing to me, the authentic, true love connections, the making new acquaintances, the music, the wild dancing, everything. And my earring's not quite put in properly. And although I'm a bit exhausted, I'm grateful and contented and satisfied and happy with my lot. And feeling much loved, valued and seen in the scene, which is astonishing and beautiful and heartwarming. And love my lifestyle, even though I don't make any money from it, but I don't expect to. But love my lifestyle and love my musical talented friends and all my artistic friends. Charlie, stop that. He's being really naughty. Today is a sunny day, still very cloudy but sunny, and we haven't been outside yet, have we, Charlie? No, we have not. And so anyway, just delighted in general with life at the moment, and it's wonderful, especially given how unwell I feel generally, until such time as my bladder issues get sorted out, if they ever will. One cannot tell, but look on the bright side, at least I'm not incontinent yet, and I don't have retention yet. So it's just like, being up all night to pee and sleep deprivation that's slowly killing me. But I've soldiered on this long. I can soldier on a bit longer. And anyway, today's readings of even date isn't... Charlie, stop licking the salt block. Is entitled... Yes, I know, but I don't think that much salt is good for you, Charlie. Getting addicted, Charlie. Calling, I am here. Hineni. Hineni is when God says in the Torah, Hineni, I am here. So Hineni, it's my little twisted sense of magic and mystery when I use biblical and Hebraic references. It's just, me being a Jew by choice and a witch and a poet. Well, not so much a poet, really. I've been thinking, though, some gentleman that was tuning me up on the internet 4 months ago he actually wanted to write songs with my words from my writings, which means he's probably going to have to go through and read them all and see what's of any use to him. Anyway, I think that was just some excuse to try and lure me in, right? Because nothing happened with that. I think that was all horseshit. But I got to thinking about it. I wrote a song recently. I don't consider myself much of a poet because I tend to write more prose and long form psycho babblings. But I did write a kind of a song. I don't know if it can be turned into a song, but I wrote the words. And yeah, I've got to try and write more. He did inspire me, made me think about it. I thought I am very good with words, and I could probably write songs, but I've still got mascara under my eyeballs. I would need someone that can set it to music. But Jared just did a songwriting course and sent me 2 songs that he'd made, which was delightful. The timing was rather synchronous since that happened at the same time as Simon was wanting to write me songs, right? So, and which he would have seen as competition, but it was just synchronous timing, which I found deeply amusing. How the angels and the fae and the trickster spirits will have a little tweak at us. I guess that's what they want me to do, write songs. So I may do it. I'm thinking about it quite seriously. I've been dancing and dancing and dancing wildly in the music scene here in Brisbane for 13 years, so surely I'll have absorbed some musical inclinations, if nothing else by osmosis, right? Although we all know I can't really sing. Well, I can, sort of. No, but not really. I could never get up and be a singer because my voice is not good enough. And anyway, I forget the words. If I write my own songs, I'll probably forget my own words. Oh, that'd be scary, wouldn't it? Charlie, no. Charlie, if you're going to be annoying, you'll go back in your cage. Do you understand? Just staring at me like this. The Charlie face off. No. Come on. You is a good girl. Come on, you want to be a good girl. I know. Mama wants to be a good girl too. But she's been so good for so long, now she wants to be completely wild. Arrgh. Anyway. I have my level of wildness to a certain degree, and then it just stops because we're not going down that pathway. Till Mummy finds the right man, Charlie. The right man who won't hurt me and will treat me with deep love and affection and honour. Yes? She says, Mama, you already found him. No, Mama hasn't. Well, she kind of has, but that lovely man is not available. In any way, it has to be reciprocated, Charlie. True love has to be a channel that goes both ways and meets in the middle and just, and is lovely. So, do you like how I tell my bird my love stories that are just completely fantastic, fantasies and fantastic? And all right, here we go, Charlie. Let's get busy with today's readings. Look, she's literally stepping on everything and sabotaging. Yes, that's you, Charlie. Can you see the birdie? Where's the little birdie? Where's the little birdie? Look at the little, not looking at the salt block again. Here's a little birdie. I'm using the salt block to hold my iPhone up so I don't have to fiddle with it like I've been doing for the last few months, which was kind of nuts. Charlie, Mummy ain't got no time for that, Charlie. All right, let us begin. Let us begin. Begin. The begin again. I'm liking my little ladybug. I'm going to have to put a little sulfur on it and bring up the little black dots and the little lines. And maybe give it another polish. All right, come here. Come here. Come here. That's it. That's my girl. You're going to do a poo. I can just sense. I sense you're going to poo. No? No? She'll wait till it's on me, won't she? She's a bit of a demon birdie at times. I know. Mama loves you very, 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 very much. 17th of February 2023. It's another scathing hot day. The heat wave continues unabated. Yesterday in 2024, it was actually a bit cooler and it was actually lovely. I could see everyone's spirits were just uplifted with the relief and the release from the constant grinding, debilitating heat. So there is that. I was lying in the hammock under the golden rain tree with Charlie and Beauregard. Charlie randomly flew, unusually well this time. Yes, I've got to clip that wing again, starting to grow back. Across the front yard and over to the trees outside my neighbour Tim Sa's house on the front verge, which was a worry because they're quite tall trees. I immediately panicked and went to rescue her. She wouldn't come down and I had to rush to the loo with tummy troubles, oh dear goddess. So I went to do that, then came out the front with a long bamboo pole and enticed Charlie out of the tree. So I was kind of having a panic attack, having to leave her out there while I was running to the loo and all the stress and anxiety and multitasking, and I was like flipping out everywhere, which I do from time to time. She came back to me quite eagerly, thank the goddess, but I worry that she is now able to fly higher and longer distances. She's sitting in my hair. She's going to poop, isn't she? She rarely attempts flying, so I wrapped her in a towel and clipped one wing as I am terrified I might lose her. No, a few months after that, instead I lost permanently my beautiful Beauregard. What are you doing, Charlie? 17th of February 2022. 2 new vintage lights. The house is starting to look pretty swish. I bought these on Marketplace. And because I got sick of the Housing Commission little plastic lampshades that I'd put up with for, 2020. What year did I say? 2022. Yeah, I moved here in 2003, so like 19 years I put up with crap. So I went out around all the Marketplace and bought vintage light fittings, just so the house is like in its same sort of age and theme, and just looked a bit nicer than some povo house with some broken down woman robbed by the gods and vicious awful people, my family of origin and my ex-husband and other fucking entities that came along after. Totally decimated my life, and that's why I'm still in the situation. But don't worry, Mama T's up leveling, babies. One day, she's going to get out of the situation. She's going to be happy and successful and thriving, and either from my writing or my silversmithing or my potential songwriting, or I'll have a beautiful man who values and adores me and shares resources with me and treats me with kindness. Could happen. Or, you never know, I win lotto. You never know what other miracles I might manifest in my life. But, I mean, some of those things do seem indeed almost miraculous. It would take a miracle, darlings. But anyway, I'm witnessing in the last 6 months this, Charlie, the sweetness and the kindness, Charlie, which biting is not sweet and it's not kind and it's not adorable. But I'm witnessing the lighting up of souls looking at me with genuine affection and admiration. Just for my wild, crazy ways and my wild shamanic dance. And I'm delighting in that. It's the first time in my life that I've felt so much love flowing to me, and it's astonishing. And it's a long time manifestation prayer that I've been putting out for decades too. So it's just a bit heartbreaking that it's come only after the horror of the last 4 years with the COVID epoch, that it took that much for people to suddenly realise life is precious and we need to love and protect and honour each other and delight in each other's individualism and unique gifts and talents. And suddenly people started seeing me, which is exactly what I'd been putting down 13 years ago and all my life, saying to people, be you. There's no other person on this planet like you. You all have your own individual gifts, and find out what they are and, practice them or use them or display them, and just delight in the life force that is you. People used to think I was a bit fucking cray-cray, didn't they? They used to put me down, think I was just some sort of idiot. Now they realise why that was so important to me, because it can be taken from us. And I knew that. Having survived many near deaths myself during my childhood and adulthood, I already knew that. But anyway, it's a beautiful planet and a beautiful world, and we're co-creating it daily. Daily, we're blowing life back into it and rebuilding and recalibrating and making sense of our world and getting better, not bitter. Kissy, kissy. She's not in the mood. Kissy, kissy, Charlie. Oh, you want to scratch instead? Kissy, kissy. Anyway. 17th of February 2021. I have been watching Nosferatu, spelled Nos4A2, which was an interesting twist, which is brilliant and creepy and an almost satirical reflection of our society. I mean, it's triggering at times, but yes, very deep and powerful. It's on Amazon Prime if you like action, fantasy and science fiction shows. Today I had a lovely visit from Lynn. We chatted, as we often do, about spirituality. My first spiritual circle group just bombed. But I am delighted that my closest friends both came to continue with our work of enlightenment and sharing stories and knowledge of all things spiritual. Circle? What circle? I'm expected to show up or perform like a fucking monkey. Oh! You're going to go back in your cage. In other people's circles, but when it's my turn, crickets. Yes, I was very disappointed that I wasn't supported by, I won't name them, because ultimately now it doesn't matter, but at the time I was a bit upset that, I invited them to join my circle and no one turned up, so everything's a popularity contest and an ego competition and flog, even in the hippy-dippy spiritual alternative circles. It's really quite ugly, and it doesn't need to be that way. I'm not in competition with anyone. I was strutting my own stuff, wanting to share knowledge, and oh well, they'll have to do it the old-fashioned way like I did, by reading lots of books and having lots of experiences that nearly fucking kill you, and then maybe they'll be ready to impart knowledge too. Dickheads, honestly. Anyway, I write, but I can rely on the deep love and support of my true, authentic and loyal friends, so I'm grateful and happy about that. A solitary, eclectic witch does not actually need a huge tribe. Keep my circle of trust and magic and awe small, and delight in the ones who delight in me, and share positive energy and light in a constant flow of life-affirming edifications. Here I write, this is in relation to the shamanic calling, right? It's not calling me anymore. It's breathing down my neck and smashing down my front door. It's bringing me souls who value, cherish, support, and if and when necessary, protect me. It's powerful and beautiful and fierce. It's love, peace, justice. It's the divine feminine arising and lighting everyone up, waking everyone up to a new world that we must co-create with the gods in order to survive on our planet, Gaia. It's you and me, I and thou, holding hands and hearts across the multiverses. Blessings for this beautiful, joyous and great day. Love from the Tanya. Not just your average nudnik or lunatic. I have walked these worlds and swept these floors and claimed that broken, ephemeral Jacob's ladder, and never have the gods forgotten me or betrayed me. Even in my darkest despair, they reached across the multiverses to gift me another day, another light, another evolution in my ragged, jagged, flagging life. This is the blessing and curse of being chosen. The only way out is through. Fulfill my contracts with the gods for my truly loving, peaceful, safe, joyous life they promised me eons ago when I was but a tiny child. Sighs. It's coming. I can hear it breathing, the new paradigm. I am ever waiting for Godot, but Godot waits for no man, woman or child. It just is and shall always be. Tap, tap, tap. Wake up, wake up. We are late for a very important date. But whom am I to blow against the wall? I have huffed and puffed and been strangled, stymied and suffocated longer than most people. Yet still I find delight in the eyes of small children who, like me, are still attached to their awe. Still I smile at the radiance of a new bloom in my garden, or the streams of sunshine flowing from that distant star. Life, l'chaim, a hard task mistress for many, a whimsical delight for some, a momentary blip in the face of eternity. Oh, we've got a shower outside, it's raining. It's quite bizarre. Yet still I cleave to this body, this mind, and recalibrate my soul according to the will of the gods, manifesting in fractalized mirages all across all dimensions of time and space. Take courage, little one. The Holy One sees you, honours you, lifts you up on his shoulders so you can see the horizon of this perfected design. Is it really a hologram, O Lord? Is it all just a complex virtual game played for other beings with no comprehension of humanity? Guard your soul, Tanya. Walk with me and dance and sing, and when the right man arrives, Baruch Haba'ah, that means blessed be he who comes. Make love again. Opening comes in the not the sexual term, but as in coming, arriving into your life. Just sort of clarify that, given that I followed that up with make love again. Opening your body in all the magical yet temporal bliss you used to enjoy, but this time being loved and honoured in a flowing, sacred return. Someone who returns my love and affection to me in a perfect, balanced, harmonious, true, loyal, faithful love, right? King to my queen. Like the infinity symbol, yes, perfectly harmonious, dance across the Sephirot. Yes, say yes to life, Tanya. Tanya La, that means little one, little Tanya. Say yes to life, Tanya La. I have gifted it to your sacred trust. Okay, I believe you. Sheepish grin from me. I just got back from a walk with Bo and saw little Evie and Susie, who lavished me with lots of hugs. They were doing happy dances of excitement at seeing me hobble up the street. Then I saw the little Coco Doggess Goddess, who lavished me with doggy kisses. I stopped to chat with Elsa and Pete. Coco smooched me so much and looked deep into my eyes. Oh, she's the sweetest little dog, really. That 91-year-old Elsa laughed and said, "What did you do to make her love you so much?" I quipped that she was really eating my soul, but Coco demanded lots of cuddles, so I happily kept picking her up for more lashings of dogged smooches, even though it hurt my back to bend down and lift her up into my arms. I'll have to go and visit her again soon, won't I? I miss my little Coco. I joked that if she were a human man, I would have to divorce him, as it would all be too codependent and needy. You can't have too much of a good thing, people. Coco just blinked a few times and she already goes like this. When she blinks like that, she reminds me of the genie in I Dream of Jeannie, which is a show I grew up watching in the 70s as a child, which I loved. Coco just blinked a few times, smiling knowingly. I said, "Coco, do you want a doggy divorce?" but she knew I was teasing, so she snuggled in even more, and we laughed and laughed. I was spoilt with so much love today, just wonderful. And I did my smiley face with lots of back brackets that my former friend, potential lover that went wrong, Simon, thought meant I was shaking my ass, but it just means that I'm excited, like that. But anyway, men always have to see a sexual side to things, which is sometimes kind of amusing and endearing, but no. Here, I don't mean it sexually, I just mean I was like happy, happy. You can be happy without it having to be a sexual thing, people of Earth. Silly. It's all too silly, really, the whole thing. I got to meet Limey and Damon's new baby girl today. They named her Ayla, which is Finnish and Scottish. I told them Ayla, or Isla. Yes, I think they do pronounce it Isla. Ayla. I can't remember now for one moment. Oh well. I told them Ayla was a shamaness or medicine woman in the book Clan of the Cave Bear, and that once again they have named their daughter a very powerful name. The other little girl is named Sophia, which is a Gnostic name for planet Earth. Damon does not know how to handle my mystical witchy ways, so kept walking hurriedly home after I told him. I do it deliberately sometimes to wind people up, but having read a lot of books, I am sometimes surprised at how these thoughts stumble off my tongue quite unsolicited and salubriously, but quite magically. Quiet chuckles. Little baby Ayla was a month early, so I'm quite sure she'll be grabbing at life as powerfully and eagerly as anyone born in a great hurry. Well, I was brought on because my mother was almost dying of toxemia, so that's why I was brought on early. May she be blessed with happy, healthy, peace, with a happy, healthy, peaceful, prosperous, and loving life, all anyone can want for any of us. And here I posted this meme, which I really love. If it is your calling, it will keep calling you. And that, my friends, is very, very true. It will just keep at you until you finally say, okay, I embrace this, I invite this into my life, I welcome it, and I become it, and there becomes your destiny, which happens one day at a time, people, very, very slowly sometimes. But anyway, like my love life, it's manifesting beautifully at the appointed time for the right person to come along. Because Mama T cannot make any more disastrous mistakes with her heart and her loins. Mama T has suffered for decades the most horrific heartache and horrors and abuse. So Mama T must get it right this time. I really must. So that's why I'm trepidatious and at times a bit fearful and circumspect, and then on the other hand I'm like, oh, but it's my calling and I'm ready. And yes, well, other people have to be ready too, Tanya. This is the way it goes. Come here, Charlie, and it has to be the right person. It has to be the right person, Charlie. Absolutely the right person. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. I knew. It's only a little one, thankfully. All right, little girl. So that art is by Luis Tamani. Anyway, it's beautiful. A shaman plucking wildflowers, probably for some medicine. "4:12 a.m. I just feel like I missed a bit, but no. 4:12 a.m. No sleep tonight. I watched a TV show until 2:30 a.m. Then went to bed and nup, still wide awake. My back is still taut and painful, but now my mind has launched into insomnia instead. I guess I got plenty of rest the previous few days as I was unable to move much." I just feel this energy washing over me, like a heaviness. It's not mine. It just went, did you see it? It just went whoosh. So I'm just looking out to the garden. I'm just recalibrating. I'm trying to figure out what that might be. Possibly someone's wanting to make contact but can't or won't, or just, I don't know. Sometimes it's weird like that. I pick up on little things and I'm like, have to kind of go, no, not now, not doing this. But yesterday before I went out, I had a thought form say to me, "Someone's really excited to see you." And I was like, who's that someone? Don't be ridiculous. But I have to say, when I went dancing, it wasn't just one someone. I felt like there were a few people looking at me and they were genuinely happy and excited to see me. And I was like, oh, well, that intuition was actually accurate for a change. I was like, okay, thank you. That's very lovely to give me accurate information instead of, sometimes it's a bit nonsensical, it doesn't make sense. But yes, I was observing the people that were excited to see me and happy that I was there. But I'm there every weekend now. It's my new safe landing, my new musical venue, home where I feel welcomed and cared for and respected. It's just marvellous. "17th of February 2020. If they airlifted Wernher von Braun to safety in the US to work for NASA, then it's not a stretch of the imagination to think that Hitler's suicide was faked and he too spent the rest of his life, allegedly, in Argentina." Yes, I actually believe that. My comment was in response to a YouTube video, "Seeing Hitler Escape Germany, April 30th, 1945. And my cousin Megan Phillips wrote, "The heinous man was certainly clever enough to have an escape and make everyone believe they'd take their own lives before capture." And then she asked, "Can you understand and speak German, cousin?" And I replied, "I only speak a few words here and there. I understand it a bit better. I recently gave away 12 German books that were beautiful and valuable to a friend who has a German mother. which I kind of regret now because that friend turned out to be another using fucking parasite. I dear goddess. But I guess I can't regret it because at least his mother, being German, would have really enjoyed and appreciated those books. And one of those books was an art book actually worth hundreds of dollars. But that fucking peasant had no idea, right? So in that sense, I regret it. I could have sold it and made money from it, or I could have donated it to the university. That way they would have been read by a lot more people studying German. I could have done all sorts of wonderful things with those books, but I chose to gift it to this dude's mother, who I didn't know his mother at all, but anyway. He's a fellow shaman and I supported his drumming circle. Now you know who I'm talking about. Oh well, it's the truth. And I even went to one of his shamanic circles and participated in that. And I thought, he's actually a nice man. And so I gave him his books. And look, honestly, it was all a bit weird. But he was frightened of me on some level. Very, very threatened and frightened of me. As men often are, because I don't mince words and I don't tolerate bullshit, and I have a gift of seeing through the bullshit and the masks, and to someone that's trying to play people for dicks, I can sniff that out usually, not straight away, but usually in a very short span of time, days or weeks, I can sniff them out. So I think he was afraid of me for that reason. But anyway, he moved out of Brisbane now, and his mother has the most exquisite books from my mother. So in that closed circuit, the German books went to somebody German who I hope she enjoyed them. Didn't ever receive a thank you from her. It would have been manners to send me a little note and say thank you so much for these wonderful books. But again, I had allowed a person in my life with no fucking couth. Yuck. Anyway, c'est la vie, babies. Life goes on. Here I write, I could not read them, would have needed to sit every day with a dictionary. So I thought they were better off with someone who can read and enjoy them. I have 2 or 3 books left, poetry, and kept one that was my mother's primer book when she started school, although she told me that her father, Erich Meyer, taught her to read before she began school. My mother was an incredibly intelligent woman. She was a psychopath, well, a narcopath, but which is a narcissist psychopath or sociopath. But she was an incredibly bright woman. Let's not underestimate her ever. He started off, that's my non-biological grandfather, by the way, who raised my mother as his own. He started off by getting her to read street signs. I believe her as although she was a narcopath and a fucking monster to me most of my life, she was in fact highly intelligent. She missed out on attending university due to the war. Ironically, she loved attending student Rabbi Dana Evan Kaplan's lectures on Spinoza and Reform Judaism back in 1992. She even once told me she was considering converting to Judaism also and preferred Orthodox to Reform, which I found interesting because she enjoyed the intellectualism and the classes that Rabbi Kaplan was giving, but she felt more comfortable with the more traditional style of Judaism. Found that interesting. I suspect my mother had Jewish ancestry, and I'll explain it here. She believed her maternal grandfather, her mother Eva, was born in the Charité Hospital in Berlin, illegitimate. Might have been a Jew. But if that were so, the documents were hidden well. no father on the birth registration, and Eva was baptized Evangelisch Lutheran. If there had been any proof of Jewishness, my grandmother Eva and Gisela would have been exterminated in the camps. I sometimes wonder, however, Eva hated the Nazi Party and had a wireless radio tuned to the BBC in their apartment. That was, being caught with a radio tuned to the BBC would have been enough to get her shot, by the way. It was a very dangerous and crazy thing to do in Nazi Germany during wartime. Very crazy, brave thing to do. My grandmother was a very brave woman, but she was also a home devil and very violent to my mother and bet her constantly during her childhood. My grandmother Eva also threw food packages to a holding camp in the middle of Hamburg with bread and Wurst. Wurst is like, like lengths of salami, sausage. An extremely brave and dangerous thing to do during the war. Mum said she would throw the packages into this camp for the people that I don't think it was an actual concentration camp, but somewhere where they were being moved on from there. Anyway, and she would throw the Wurst and the bread and then run away screaming down with Hitler. Again, very crazy thing to do. She could have been shot for that too. So this is where my anarchistic revolutionary streak probably comes from my grandmother, right? It's in the blood. It's in the blood, and I'm proud of that aspect of having inherited that quality of my mad, bad grandmother. Mum said she had a tiny Chanukia. A Chanukia is a menorah with 9 branches that's lit up at Hanukkah as an ornament. Mum realised what it was when she bought my silver Chanukia or menorah as a gift for me after my conversion in 1984. Eva also had some friends who were famous Jewish opera singers. The husband was forced by Hitler to divorce the wife. I believe she made it to England before war broke out, but I am not sure. Anyway, I don't claim Jewish ancestry as I am unable to find any documentation to prove it. As it was on the patrilineal line, my grandmother and mother would have been considered Mischlings by Nazi Germany. A Mischling was someone who had a Jewish father and a non-Jewish mother. It was considered mixed race or mixed blood, and those people were also put in the concentration camp with other Jewish people, even though it might have been their grandfather or their great-grandfather who was a Jew and they actually didn't consider themselves Jewish. They were still killed in the camps, people. This is how evil and atrocious it all was. The Holocaust, the Shoah. It is enough that I decided from the age of 6 that I wanted to be a Jew. And as you can see, I'm not a very traditional or religious one, because I dance Friday nights in wild clubs with wild men and women and have a joyous old time. I don't observe the Shabbat of lighting candles, and although I must buy some more candles because I used to light the candles before I went out at least. But yeah, I don't observe it by lighting candles and having a traditional meal and having the prayers and sitting around with a beautiful family around me, because everyone abandoned me anyway. And when I did do those traditional Jewish things, which were beautiful and spiritual and soulful, I was vilified and slandered by my community for decades. So ultimately I thought, well, fuck it. It's not my calling. My calling is to be wild and free and joyous and love my Holy One in my own way, which I express it by dancing, releasing old traumas and griefs by my wild shamanic dance, but also dancing to beautiful love songs as well. It's not all dark songs. And being surrounded by people who are also living their best life, living joyously and carefree and kindly, mostly kindly. So I had years at the Irish Murphys in the casino where I was surrounded by dead shits who weren't kind and weren't honouring and weren't respectful. And, you get your average psychopath and your average borderline out in the scene. But those people have gone on their merry way and lost their sway, and I no longer allow people to have that power over me to cause me so much grief. I mean, some of them I still talk about in my writings and on my YouTube videos. You hear about those characters, but at the end of the day, dust to dust, ashes to ashes, everything loses its grip on you, and ultimately all you have left after all is said and done is the love, the music, and the art you created from your own soul. By the way, Maya was a common name in Germany, as common as Smith or Jones, but it is also a Jewish family name, so the plot thickens. I know my half-sister was told when she was living in Hamburg in 1973, when we visited for 6 months, that we would never know. Where is that? Scrolled out of it. That we would never know the full truth about our family, as even then in the 70s, this person feared for our safety. I don't know what they were alluding to, because that was a very obscure and weird thing to say. So I don't know whether they made that up or what they were talking about there, but it's made me wonder many times if we were actually Jewish and somehow had kept it hidden. I don't know how, because Hitler took such scrupulous records, and in my half-sister's father's case, Hans Peter, he looked so Jewish that just looking Jewish was enough to get you killed, by the way. But he looked so Jewish that they thought he was Jewish. That Hitler, the Nazis researched his family as far back as the French Huguenots. They had migrated from France to Germany back in the 1600s or 1700s. I think it was the 1600s the Huguenots left France. And only then did they leave him alone, satisfied that he wasn't Jewish. So if they were so scrupulous with him, one would have thought they would have been scrupulous with my grandfather, Erich Meyer, and my grandmother, Eva Meyer. So I don't know what the truth was, but it was a very strange thing to say. And I write here, I have no idea what they were inferring, except perhaps our Jewish roots, or God forbid, something even more nefarious. Who knows? I wish that person had had the courage to tell the truth or write it in a letter, as it has me curious as to what they really meant. At any rate, I have experienced a great deal of bullying, vilification, false accusations of being a Nazi. It took 2 years and a rabbi and the then head of the board of Queensland Board of Jewish Directors, is it? Bernie Jacks OAM, to clear my name. And I fought hard for the right of my German, naturalised New Zealander mother to attend temple with myself and my daughters back in 1991. only to have her, my own mother, undermine me with false accusations via her boyfriend Buck Shearer in 2000. Well, he wanted my inheritance for his daughters, and indeed they got it in the end, the evil, dirty, filthy bastards. Which led me to move away from a house I was renting from her and completely cut ties for several years. By then, she was in the early stages of Alzheimer's, unbeknownst to me. I just thought her vicious abuse was escalating out of control. And under the abusive control of that vile con man who had already begun gambling her $130,000 in cash away, I saw the hundreds of TAB receipts when I was given access to her house after his death, and her stepkids granny dumping her in the high care facility in 2008. It became clear that he had conducted an all-out war and smear campaign against me in my own Jewish community, in the court system with the fake DVO and with the adult guardian, who later apologised to me. Big fucking whoop that was. They had already aligned with him and sold me down the river, the filthy bastards. This is what I mean about the systemic abuse that went on, as well as the familial abuse. I was persecuted from every angle, and no one in any official capacity had my back. The vilification and harassment seemed endless. On top of that, I was harried from house to house in extreme poverty, under vicious physical attacks with 2 small children, only to have some complete stranger of a cunt dare to call me a victim on Wednesday evening. Utterly filthy. I got a quick taste of that vilification again at that meeting, the Shoah meeting, where we were discussing setting up the new Holocaust Museum here in Brisbane, right? That foul meeting I referred to the other day in my readings. Oh, it was foul how they treated me. Absolutely fucking disgraceful. I have written my characteristically scathing letter to the facilitator of that meeting, Eddie Berkowitz, about his utterly disgraceful attitude towards me. But in truth, he was not the only one in that room to express complete hostility and shunning, both verbal and non-verbal. I walked out in great dignity only because I am so used to this kind of abject martyrdom. It is beyond heinous. As a Jew, as a universalist, as a witch, as a woman, and as a child sexual abuse survivor. They won't be happy until I am dead, and I almost gifted them that in 2015. But there were other factors at play back then. I am stronger now, or like to think I am, but mostly I am tired. Even in that recent surgery at the Princess Alexandra Hospital, I had to fight against utter systemic abuse from male doctors and a phlebotomist. The nurses were brave and did their best to treat me appropriately, even as I was flailing in rage at the doctors. So the system is producing modern-day Mengeles who prey on women who are trauma survivors and disability pensioners. Victimhood? I think not. I fought them hard with my freshly divested gallbladder, in fucking agony. So, I know I am not safe anywhere in this society, and it's utterly cruel and sadistic, the constant reminders. But still, I refuse to be silenced, not even by that foul Israeli woman who thinks I am a victim. She is no doubt a filleting, sycophantic handmaiden, for sure. Filthy, all of it. When they come for me, eventually it will get too much. Always remember and never forget, I was a Jew. I was a woman who held my ground in the midst of great indignity and rape culture. I was a mother, a largely unappreciated one. Shit happens. I was a decent daughter to my evil mother in the last 18 months of her life. I was a loving woman to my friends, my pets, and even my few lovers, even though I was often beset by grief and trauma and betrayals. I was loyal to my God and all the gods, spirits, fae, and the few actual ancestors that love me, no doubt going back many, many generations, as my fucked up family of origin were nothing but abusers. I was a spirit that fought through more horror in contemporary times than the average person, only to be branded a victim for showing up and speaking my personal truth, which is not victimhood at all, but incredibly courageous and a bit fierce, and in my own unique way, beautiful and loving, as with truth we begin to heal, and with lies or secrets or deception or foul judgments we fester and rot and repeat history and become the most debased of abusers. Well, I have no intention of becoming anything like my child molesting, greedy, slanderous, filthy abusers, nor like any of their henchmen and henchwomen. I presented my truth in dignity and peace, and I walked out the same way. No shame in my game. Oh, and I will acknowledge this much. In 2015, the then president of the Queensland Jewish Board of Deputies did actually have my back. To you, Jason Steinberg, a noble and decent man in our midst. And I don't say that lightly, because I well know the treachery that has gone on in regards to me and my reputation since I arrived in this country for the second time I arrived here in 1988. The president did actually have my back when I was lured into that child sexual abuse expose by some very sick, perverted people who then had the arrant chutzpah to accuse me of defamation. I still don't know what that was all about, as the woman who lured me to advocate for her adult sons never followed through. Sick it was, causing me a lot of distress when I was already struggling with other major stressors at that same point in time. But then not long after, another stalwart of our community was in fact taken to court with charges of pedophilia. No idea what the end result of that was, or if he was in fact convicted. But it proved that I was not paranoid or lying about the ongoing pernicious abuses that went on in this community throughout the 60s, at least, until this current era. But okay, shun me and vilify me, but I knew at least one actual survivor. In fact, I knew several, to be honest, when you really get down to the nitty-gritty of it. So I was not lying or defaming, but speaking out to protect our kids. Oh, and excuse me if I might have to go have a little scream now. But I stood up and was counted on every fucking front. Victim? If that's what makes some of them happy. Perverts. Ha ha ha. It's what they are. Those kind of people that call me a victim for standing up and saying no to the ongoing abuses, call me a victim. They are perpetrators, perverts, enablers, and aligning with the abusers. They are the sick ones, not I. The only reason I absorbed that shock without retaliating or creating a scene was we are all the children of Holocaust survivors. So in that level of secondary trauma, even though that person bragged about a fortunate life, rolls eyes, but it's nice that some of us were spared a life like mine, innit? Smug and condescending she was. We are all actually equals, even if her smug elitist entitleitis, which was so well exhibited by my own half-sister back in the day. I call it the ivory tower syndrome. It's putrid, people like that. They're utterly fucking putrid. Does not accommodate for authentic trauma survivors with authentic truths. Hurt people, healed people, heal. I must remember that on my descent to Valhalla or the rabbit hole or wherever the gods vomit me out when my time comes. Here I share a YouTube video of K.D. Lang performing Hallelujah at Firefight Australia. It wasn't her best performance. Here I write about it. I absolutely adore her. Her rendition of the song is always magical, although her performance of it at the Toronto, or was it Montreal Olympics? I think it was Montreal Olympics, was even better than this one. But hell, on dark days when even I don't comprehend why I'm still alive, I listen to K.D. Lang sing this song and I think, yeah baby, for this I am alive, to bear witness to greatness, to talent and pure magic embodied in this woman. She is a gift. To you, K.D. Lang, although I'll never met you in real life, it's very unlikely, but I send you love and acknowledgement of your immense power and your beautiful voice. Even Charlie says, hello, hello. Although I dress in alternative ways, I'm not involved and have never been involved in BDSM. I was told by a former dominatrix friend, that would be Creature. She claimed to be a dominatrix. I think she bullshitted about that too. I think she lied about many things. I think she was just a lying piece of shit. But anyway, here I continue. I was told by a former dominatrix friend that I am a natural, most likely because I'm strong, hold my ground, and fearless and unwilling to allow others to beat me, literally and figuratively, into submission. I endured a lifetime of abuse as a child, so no, I do not ever want to crawl slavishly at a man's feet, be humiliated by him, or vulnerable to rape. Been there, done that, got the 25 years of therapy. It was utterly vile at a recent Shoah meeting that I was treated as if I were a prostitute, made to feel unworthy or dirty because of my background. It was sick, actually. I rose above it like a queen, as it was an old trope of abuse and says more about that little enclave of privilege than it could ever say about me. I share this article as I find it interesting. I would not enjoy being in that scene, but if I explored it, I would be the best damn dominatrix in the business. Why? Apart from my alleged natural abilities, I understand trauma more than most people, having lived it all my life, and I would be wise and compassionate to anyone that lay at my feet. I am so sick of being spoken to or abused by filthy, cuntish men and assumed that I am a prostitute, all because I'm not even remotely interested in fucking anyone, let alone these putrid, ugly, filthy bastards who can only go on about my shoes. If they can't fuck me, they must utterly destroy me. Well, I have been destroyed enough by the time I was 7. Actually, it started when I was 6, but I was riffing on the show me a man or woman by the age of 7. Show me a child by the age of 7 and I'll show you the man. But my abuse went on with that first perpetrator from the ages of 6 till 8. I was 7. So how about, yet again, for the people at the back? No. The article was published by gomag.com. Kink and Trust, how some trauma survivors find healing through BDSM. Well, whatever floats your boat, babies. But don't assume I'm like that. I don't find it healing. I find it degrading and weak and pathetic. But that's just my brain wiring, because I was degraded and made to be weak and pathetic by my family of origin, and delegitimized and stolen from land in Waiheke Island. By the time I was 15, that land was stolen from me, by the way. And then the shitty will dispute when my mother died when I was 45, robbed yet again. So they didn't just violate my body autonomy and degrade me emotionally, mentally, physically, sexually, but they violated me financially as well. So no, I will not scrabble at the feet of any man, woman or child. I will be treated with respect and honour and integrity. And if you can't treat me that way, get the fuck out of my life and never darken my doorstep or my psyche ever again, you dogs. And that's where my dominatrix trope comes from, because I'm a powerful woman and I have the ability to call our dog out when I see one. And don't get me wrong, I love dogs. Dogs are wonderful people, unlike many humans. Too many humans. Just why I enjoy being surrounded by loving people at the moment. You cannot imagine how beautiful and poignant and soul nourishing a gift that truly is. I want to cry when I think about it. Anyway, I won't cry. I'll just enjoy it for as long as it lasts and pray that there's much more love flowing to me. Healthy, constructive, nurturing, nourishing, kind, noble, loyal, faithful love flowing to me in the eternal now. Because I won't settle for anything less, babies. I really won't. It's tempting to settle sometimes out of loneliness and at times desperation that I might not be able to survive another 29 years on my own. But I won't sell myself out ever again. Ever. My lovely king parrot visitor to my sacred space garden. Here he is. He actually looks a bit orange there. I don't know why. The colours never show up in true form, because he's actually bright red. He's my handsome boy that I love dearly, and when he comes to my garden, he sings and he twitters to me and has conversations with me, and sometimes flies down and lands very close to me and talks to me. And this is where, if you're into the magical side of life, my fairy qualities come out, because even the birdies recognise my spirit and treat me with sweetness and kindness. So when humans have let me down, the gods have sent me bird and animal friends to remind me that life can still be beautiful and noble and honouring and blissful. Nothing is ever wasted or completely lost, just gets recycled, sometimes in another vector of life, coming from unexpected and surprising ways. Like the sweetness of that young couple yesterday coming to my door and gifting me that loaf of bread, wanting to befriend me. Very sweet. I think I freaked them out. Because when they, because I am, look, I can't help it. I'm so spiritual and I've got my weird sense of humour, you know. Can be a bit confronting to the uninitiated. But I can't change who I am now. I've developed this way over decades. Anyway, so they bring me the bread, this young couple, and I said to them, I said, am I the chosen one? They looked at me and freaked out a bit. I said, am I the only one you're bringing bread to? And they, am I chosen? And the young man just looked at me and smiled. I'm sure they were Christians. They didn't try and proselytise me, thank the gods, because I would have been given short shrift. But I'm sure they were Christians. They just had that lovely, that sweet vibe that, you know, born agains or, there was a sweetness to them. Anyway, they said, no, they said, we probably will distribute bread to other people in the neighbourhood, they said, but you were recommended to us by the lady on the corner, which I think they meant Jenny. I must ask Jenny what that was actually all about. Not that I'm ungrateful for the bread, but it just was so unusual and came out of left field. You know, strangers coming to your door gifting you bread. So you see how the Holy One, blessed be his or her or their name forever and ever, gifts me in unusual ways, even bread, the stuff of life, l'chaim. It was a beautiful bread too. It was a real solid, it was a tiny bit burnt on the edges, but that didn't worry me. But it was fresh and it was real solid, meaty bread. And yes, I'm still immersed in that love that came to me so unexpectedly. So you see, nothing is lost. No matter what, no matter how ghastly or horrible you've been treated by your own community and your own tribe and your own family, your government, your culture, your society, there's still goodness out in the world, and the goodness flows to you in abundance, sometimes in surprising, astonishing ways. I kind of found it a little bit synchronous because in recent days I've been reading to you, YouTube, the stories from Gimple the Fool by Isaac Bashevis Singer, and one of the stories was about him, one of the characters, having a bakery. Oh yes, it was Gimple the Fool, working away so hard in his bakery while his wife was knocking off every man in the village and telling him that she didn't know where all the children were coming from, and playing him for a fool, you know. But the theme of it was he was working in a bakery baking bread, and then someone comes, this young couple come and bring me literally bread. So do you see that kind of freaked me out a little bit, especially since it was done in a very spiritual way, since that story is a classic Yiddish story about the goodness and authenticity and holiness, and sometimes someone being played for a fool, like I was for decades as well, by vicious people. You're not such a fool as what they thought, really. You are the noble and decent and authentic one. So, Gimple the Fool and Tanya the universal schmuck, ass kicked from pillar to post. We are simpatico. But I would not have been as merciful and compassionate as Gimper was with his errant wife. Oh, no, 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 no. I don't suffer people who treat me shittily like that. I don't suffer fools. I either move on or I just eliminate that person from my life. Which he eventually did do. Eventually, in the story, he packs up and goes travelling all over the world as a wise elderly grandfather telling stories, right? So again, that's also a trope from my life, because my father and my great uncle both packed up a kerchief and moved from my great uncle from New Zealand to Perth. Both ended up dying as itinerant men. And my own grandfather, Abraham Phillips, used to travel all up and down North and South Island of New Zealand with a kerchief, holding a clean pair of knickers, jocks, and some coins and his tobacco. And he would go gold prospecting up and down New Zealand, and he would turn up to visit my mother and father when I was a very small child, come to see me, right? Also a wanderer in old age. So the wanderlust that comes upon the foolish ones is that craving for freedom and no longer having responsibilities for people who don't value and appreciate you and treat you badly, right? Am I right? I'm right. But I stay here, my safe little haven here in Holland Park, in my little housing commission cottage. I'm wondering why it hasn't got cooler in here. Here's why. wasting electricity, Tanya Aarons. Oh, but Jesus. But anyway, I stay here in my safe little container, bemoaning the fact that I'd love to travel and run completely wild, and then I realise I don't want to end up itinerant on the streets like my forebears. That would be dangerous for me. And, you know, and simultaneously I'm craving a beautiful lover man to partner up with me and, you know, be willing, able and ready to make a commitment to me and have a partner, a life partner by my side. And it's really, I'm craving true love and passion and romance and stability, people. Anyway, I am deeply loved. I saw it last night, the love flowing to me out in my club where I danced at the Brooklyn Standard, and it's just beautiful and potent and magical and blessed. So I continue reading. Here's a photo of my handsome boy. My handsome boy who's no longer with us, but there he is. That would have been taken at Amanda's little coffee kiosk outside Woolies, because I can tell by the Are we still filming? Oh yes, freaked out for a moment. I can tell by the paving how the little squares. My little man, he used to love to go there for coffee. He loved Amanda. She's a lovely woman. Why wouldn't you love Amanda? 17th of February 2019. Good morning from sacred space. Kookaburra is contemplating the meaning of his life and a potential swim in Bobo's swimming pond. Cute. And here he is. Cookie. So, I'm not exaggerating when I tell you I have wild bird friends as well as my pets. And they do come and they do have little chats to me and little antics. And well, you've seen it in some of the videos. And it's delightful. And I'm very blessed and grateful for those little friends and interactions as well as my human friends. Crystal visited this afternoon and evening. I got to give her some more stuff, but not too much, as her studio apartment is also overburdened. We went to IKEA together and had a look around. I put another DVD shelf thingy on the curb for collection, which I'm sorry I gave that away now because it was awesome and I could have, yeah. I just don't have the room here anymore. It's too much stuff. My house is finally feeling more comfortable and less strangled and smothered by excess stuff. I no longer have the constant craving to run away to Byron Bay. I have accepted that I am destined to stay here until I die, so I might as well make this space as joyous and livable as possible. I still have another old timber TV unit in the third bedroom to empty out and put on the curb. Then I shall be finished for this year at least. Last night at the Treasury Casino was weird. First of all, as per my written request, they did not turn up the air conditioning. Ugh. Then on top of that, they have made a rule that no drinks are allowed on the dance floor, so now we are all punished like bad children for the few clumsy drunken clots that constantly smash their drinks on the floor, and security just brings cleaners in and allows the same drunken buffoons to keep smashing glass. I mean, it's just nuts. It's like, They know who the people that constantly smash glass are. They should just tell them, stop it, or you're not welcome here anymore. But don't punish everyone else for it. Jesus. But look, I broke a glass once or twice in my time. It literally slipped through my fingers, so I've done it too. But there were some people that every week without fail would smash glass, and you know what? I can't help feeling they did it on purpose. It was just too much of a regular occurrence. So I kind of get that they try to minimise that, you know, because it's expensive replacing all that bloody glass. But anyway. So, yeah, whatever. Not my monkey, not my circus. But then it got a lot weirder. Muhammad comes up to me. I have always loved you and I want you. This is not a comfortable declaration of passionate love, even though it has been my manifestation for how many decades now? Ha ha ha, fuck my life. Yeah. I tell him there are many men in the casino that think they love me and none of them are serious, and I am not here for that. He starts getting very loud and screams out that he wants me and he does not use condoms. I was utterly horrified. I tell him to lower his voice. Then I tell him, you, Muhammad, from the AIDS capital of the world, from Mother Africa, really should be using condoms. 13 children you have got, and you still have not worked out how unsafe you are. I am done with users and liars and unclean men and African gentlemen, which is African code for playboys. No, he says, I will go to the clinic and have the test and show you I am clean. I roll my eyes. I say, even those tests can be faked. I have heard stories about that. Ugh. Why do you think I am not going there with any man, but especially you now, who just proudly advertised you do not use condoms? You need to use 2 condoms and a glove. I giggle at my gallows humour. My stomach turns and I feel like I might vomit, but my stomach is empty as I forgot to eat before I went out, and I have only had 1 drink, so all I have is raw nerve to chew on. He shows me photos of himself and photos of his brother in America and one of him with 2 of his sons. In the last photo he shows me he is wearing an African type sarong and a Muslim hat and is sitting with his legs wide apart like a man of some status. But I look and still queasy from his offering of sex without condoms. Ugh. And odd declarations of love, which I know are insincere. I tell him, you better close those legs. He replies, but I love you. I put my arm across his much taller shoulder, which means I have to raise myself up on my large hobbit feet, and I quietly ask him, do you even know what love is? A deep, profound sadness permeates from within my own bones, and I wonder to myself, do I? He gets upset then and finally leaves me alone, and I am somewhat relieved, but still a tad sickened. He has been stalking me at the casino for years now. I told him he is stalker number 2, and he grins back at me, so I tell him that this is not a compliment. And I realise he is triggered, as the last woman he hooked up with was a married woman, so he tells me she is a liar, so he must think that now I am his only hope, as I am nothing if not blunt and honest. But when I tell Karen, she laughs and says I should give him one, and I start to feel a tiny bit insane, as, after all, why should I give up my celibate status for another rebounding playboy that is just out to use me for a roll in the hay? He has his own business, he tells me. I don't even ask what. I am not for sale and cannot be bought by vague promises of profit or false delusions of love. I am owned by the government, and that has some few merits, like freedom from having to latch onto any cock supreme in the hope of mere survival. I am so very grateful for that. My insanity has been a blessing after all. I tell Muhammad that our entire relationship is based on we dance at the casino, and on rare occasions I dance with him. That is all, nothing more. No condoms. Give me a fucking break. That is all he can offer me, his naked cock and forsworn capricious love. So in the style of every stalker man that vowed undying love to me on that overheated, turgid dance floor, he brings several blonde women to dance near me, and I grin impishly, as this is an old trope. I reject them and their unsavoury cocks, so they try to make me jealous. But to be jealous, one has to be madly, deeply in love lust with someone who is deluded enough to think they care for you. I don't get jealous over these shallow men. The one who is truly mine will not parade other women in front of me like dead corpse brides of a felonious, drooling cat. He's looking at you, Dave. Dickhead. I watch patiently as blonde 1 and blonde 2 quietly ditch him. Women are not stupid. They watch my amusement and see that he has no chance with me, and perhaps he has stupidly offered them sex without condoms too, which must be some new form of foreplay? Or what? What the actual fuck? No small wonder Mama T is not giving out any. My doctor is correct after all. I need a break from that place, but nowhere is truly safe, and men are going to offer me their cocks, and somehow, somewhere, I am expected to see that as a great blessing to my life. So I posted a meme here. It says, "Darling, I sat next to the nicest man at Starbucks today. He's Italian and owns a winery. I showed him your Facebook picture and gave him your number." And the reply comes back, "Mum, you can't give out my number to strangers." And the reply comes back yelling, "He owns a winery." And it's entitled "Wine is the Answer." I reply, "Damn it, my mother used to pimp me out or bribe my male friends to look after me for $20, my child bride price. Not even a fucking winery." Which I can laugh about it now after decades of therapy, but it wasn't fucking funny at the time, I can assure you. 17th of February 2018, 5:55 p.m. Time to take Bobo for a walk and clear my head. Mentally and physically exhausted, but I can do this. More dancing tonight, not giving up on myself, thriving in spite of everything. The most beautiful words that were ever told me were, "You are safe." "I love you" means nothing. Mostly empty promises or lures to entrap the lonely and vulnerable. I have witnessed so much deception and depravity in my life, all so prettily packaged up as, "I love you." But prove to me I can trust you with my life and my heart and mind, and let's face it, loins, I'll add that in as well. And I will then revel in a love that is more beautiful, powerful, and meaningful. But how does one prove such trust? By consistent respect, guidance, protection, and authenticity. It's not that hard or impossible to achieve, but still so many refute it. Pain is growth, and growth is self-determination, and courage, and wisdom, and being a beacon to inspire or encourage others beaten down by more bastardry than you can poke a stick at, to shine a light in the bewildering wilderness of darkness and disdain. Love finds a way. Love flows where even death glows. No one is worthless or forgotten. We all have a role to play in this delusional illusion of physical existence. Be a role model. Be kind. Be grand. Be humble. And most of all, be blessed. I actually wrote this as I was musing on recent triggers by posts and nasty commentators on the Byron Bay community page, which I used to participate in because I was always dreaming that one day I would like to live there, and I was hoping to make friends and contacts and acquaintances that when I go down to Byron Bay, which I used to go regularly, I might meet up with friends and people I actually know, and then I developed some kind of level of trust and friendship with through that page. But they clapped down and said, "We don't want people from Brisbane or other towns to be on our page." And there were so many vicious bullies. And you know what? There was no need for that. It's not like I was trying to tune people up for, looking for a husband or anything. I just was looking for friendship and to see what's going on in my beautiful Byron Bay, who that place, that space, I'm deeply in love with. It's the most beautiful place in Australia I'm sure there are other beautiful places in Australia, but the ley lines there are truly magical and speak to my soul. And so I go there primarily to heal my spirit, to be in the ocean and see the beautiful scenery. And having friends in that space would have been a bonus, right? There's nothing inappropriate or creepy about wanting that. But anyway, they were so savage to me, I left that page on Facebook. I thought, fuck you, you elitist, entitled, spoiled, fucking ignoble, snobby brats. Byron Bay wasn't made for that. Byron Bay used to be the most inclusive and tolerant and beautiful place. Everyone that goes there was made welcome. So I don't know how that Facebook Byron Bay community page got hijacked by these fucking arrant psychopaths. But I withdrew. I got sick of fighting on there with idiots. They really were idiotic, by the way. Also, I was thinking about a former lover last night. I hate fake, corrupt, superficial, exploitive, one-dimensional, using, lying people. Yet after being raised by narcopaths, pedophiles, gamblers, violent men and their sycophantic enablers, I guess my antenna is a little too finely attuned, and I have become very sensitive to bullshit meted out by abusers on both sides of the social construct. It is hard not to lose myself in the diffusion and confusion of all the glove puppets in my personal world. I have been watching on Gaia a show that suggests that we are all living in an advanced simulated computer program, and that none of our reality is actually real, but as Shakespeare succinctly pointed out, we are all merely players on a world stage. If so, I don't want to be part of this obscene parody that exists only to entertain and delight capricious and cruel off-planet gods or the psychopaths of this earth. I have not wanted to be part of this violation and destruction for eons, and yet something or someone has kept me here, even in spite of my complex PTSD, physical attacks on my body, and disease, and the propensity for disease that came with it. I have just beaten back another illness that affected my leg and hip, reminding you this was in 2018, and somehow I find myself depleted and depressed, probably the medications. But at any rate, in spite of my pain and feelings of abandonment and rejection by former lovers and former family and their degrading, humiliating, false facade of love, I find myself still cleaving to a life raft of hope, as that has been my fool's gold, my glittering, superfluous, extraneous opulence that shimmers like the mirage it is. But hope and inner happiness, even manufactured daily from a deep hidden well inside our psyche, body and soul, is all we can hold on to. For every scum, soul-murdering, shallow, false motherfucker that laid me down low, there have been people of such sublime resonance and beauty and strength that have buoyed me up and carried me on their shoulders and truly loved me, even from a safe distance. My battery's going down. As I became the becoming. I'll just run and get my charger one moment. Oh, shiz. Back again, my darlings, back again. I have to hold the phone now though because the charger won't sit in the stand. Anyway, older and weirder and sometimes more outrageously berserk, but eminently more courageously loving and hopeful than even I thought possible. My leg is healing, my heart, my mind, my spirit, my soul, already perfected in a time beyond my ken, will find her way one day or right now. The matrix is glitching and my life path is twitching, but I have integrity and breath and a voracious hunger for what was taken from me. Honour, true love, abundance of bright, joyous blessings, family, maybe next life, smiley face. Hopefully not. Hopefully it comes to me now, sooner than I even imagined. True love, a loving, supportive, nurturing family, and a beautiful man by my side who adores and values and cherishes me. Could happen. It could happen. Home from a great night dancing to Fat Albert at the Livewire bar at the Treasury Casino. Jenny, Karen, Tarina and Morris and I had a blast, now soaking my tired body in preparation for sleep. Also delighted that my prayers have been answered and there is a steady, gentle rain outside at last. The storms have blown through and bypassed my area, but this morning we finally have rain. Yay! I'm a bit hungry again too. Well, it's 2:08 p.m. now. 17th of February 2017. Feeling frustrated, I have spent the afternoon trying to glue and putty the welds on my lampshade, the one made from ties that Jared hates so much. That one. Twice I thought I had fixed it, and twice it fell apart. So stressful. I guess another item to just let go of. Nuh-uh, fool. I held on to that. I like it. I also went under the house and got rid of more of my mother's stuff. The remains of my shitty inheritance that I fought for 2.5 years for. I put the table thingy out on the street. A man came along and harvested a door handle, the motor out of the broken fan, and I offered to help him load the extremely heavy coffee table that Jasmine ditched on me years ago and no one wanted. Boy, am I glad to see that go. Another Horcrux and permanent reminder. Because it was actually made by her then boyfriend who used to abuse her cat that I ended up taking on Penny, and I'm glad I did. Penny was a wonderful soulmate and friend, but looking at that coffee table reminded me of my daughter's estrangement to me, and it was like a seeping fucking wound, so out it went. As my mother used to say in German, weg damit, like, let it go. Look what the little bugger's done. She's climbed on top of my lantern. Crazy bird. What you doing up there, Charlie? Is you being a rainbow lorikeet? Is you a pretty birdie? Is you... Oh my goodness. She's preening. I won't tell you what she just preened. So it's looking like, hope she's okay. But no, she's preening all over now. Thank goodness. I also went under the house and got... Oh no, I already read that. Right, here we are, back in the room, people. You can tell I'm getting tired, I'm flubbery or losing my thread. I'm unraveling, darling, unraveling. I dragged rotting pallets out on the street. If I weren't storing Crystal's stuff, it would be almost clear under the house. At least there is a lot less. Getting there on my journey to declutter. Because I had this fantasy that if I decluttered everything, that my true love would come into my life and would make physical space for a beautiful man to be with me, right? And then I also had this fantasy that I would somehow find the money to move to Byron Bay if I wasn't living in squalid clutter from other people's leftover stuff. That didn't happen either. But anyway, my house is comfortable and livable now, and I'm happy. I'm happy with what I'm left with. And I found a newly dead toad from my nightly killing mission under the house too, which I've stopped doing. I hate killing things. So bagged it up and threw it in the bin. Big, nasty, smelly bugger. Ugh. Glad I found him before he got maggoty and really stinky. I attempted to sweep under the house but didn't get far with that. Still, it looks better than it was. I wired up parts of the front fence line down the bottom as Bobo can get out. I dragged banana trees I had cut down and put them in my compost pile. I washed my bed linen, did several loads, remade my bed, now utterly knackered, but I feel like I've made progress. Schlepping the furniture out was a bit arduous. I will need a rest if I'm going to have enough energy to go dancing tonight. Update February 17th, 2019. A year later, and Jared tied that lampshade up and hung it from the ceiling. It looks lovely. I'm glad I did not throw it out after all. "7:01 p.m. Finally sitting down to rest. What a busy day. Just plutzing and cleaning up odds and ends from under the house. About a dozen children's books, all covered in dirt, so wash them. They can be harvested for decoupage. I watered the front garden, finished washing, utterly exhausted frankly. I might need a schluff. Asleep. 17th of February 2016. I had a lovely day with Lynn. We had a swim. Bobo jumped in and swam with me. His stocky little legs really powered through the water. I could feel his strength and determination to reach his mama, the island in the middle of the pool. He launched off my chest with his very sharp claws. Puppies swam too. Both dogs were delirious with joy. Then Lynn and I bathed them to wash the chlorine off. We had a nice dinner together, and Lynn followed that up with a fluffy duck and a Weiss mango ice cream. Yum. I came home to 4 hungry cats and a steaming pile of cat shit under my bed. That would be Mushu's revenge, as the cat litter tray needed changing. Fuss pot. Then I had a shower, hung out washing, brought in washing, and fed all the fish ponds. Tonight I will make some more paper. I have been so creative since my massive heartache on Saturday night. Feels good to channel that energy in a positive way. Today was a lovely day, even though it was stinking hot. Lynn and I sat with our fluffy ducks and watched the mother bats deposit their youngsters in the gum tree creche before their nocturnal fly-out. They were beautiful to watch. February 17th, 2015, an article by wakeupworld.com, Seeds and Weeds, the Power of Activism. And I wrote, I love being surrounded by beautiful, nurturing, life-enhancing beings. I have done some major weeding out in my personal garden. The patch is a bit bare, but it will flourish again in time. I will only allow supportive, loving beings in my life and future. I hope to discern the toxic weed smotherers before they take hold of my life and drag me down again. I really love being around other humans in full blossoming, doing what they love best, being creative or amazing in their own unique way. Like my friends in Alter Egos and in Ramjet, playing their music now for many years, every weekend. Glorious. And my artist friends who create in other ways. Just glorious. You're all glorious, and I love you so much. That inspires me to keep going forward and to enhance my own hidden talents. Here I post an article, gu.com. Manny Wax, I'm the troublemaker who blew the whistle on the Jewish abuse scandal. Here's looking at you, Manny. This is my kind of troublemaker. This man is my hero. This man stood up and fought a cultish system of abuse and was finally vindicated and heard. At an extreme expense emotionally, spiritually, financially, and no doubt physically as well. I am so deeply proud of him for never giving up and never giving in until justice was done. He is living proof that goodness and decency and love can move mountains, and that evil really does crumble in the face of it. To you, Manny, although we never met in real life, I admire and honour you. You're a brave, courageous, decent man, and I wish you only joy in life after your experiences during your childhood. And I know that you wish the same for me. (2:14 a.m. I need milk so I can have a decent cup of tea, and my money should be in my account by now. So off to find a servo that is open 24 hours. 3:02 a.m. Macca's had no coffee frappes as the machine was being cleaned. No ice creams either. I didn't feel like fries or a burger, highly unusual, but wanted something cold for my throat. So I ordered a hazelnut latte, which was very strong and not quite what I wanted, and begged the young lady to sell me 4 portions of milk as the 7-Eleven was closed. I didn't feel like driving all over Brisbane to look for a 24-hour servo after all, mainly because my ankle hurt too much, and really all I wanted was a nice cup of tea. It is always interesting how many other people are wandering around in the early hours of the morning. I had no bra on and my hair needs washing, so it was a lank, oily mess. I thought, no one will be around. Who will see me? Duh. Next time, Tanya, put on a bra. I did actually brush my hair in the car though, so at least it was brushed. I had a big mat at the back of my head from lying on the couch all day, Facebooking, watching interesting docos on aliens and stuff. The joys of a single, mature woman. I do what I want, whatever. I had half a mind to just keep driving to Byron Bay, but where would I sleep arriving at 5 a.m? Who would feed the cats and chickens and fish? I do feel like running amok though, or running away and never coming back. It's been an emotionally harrowing few months, and so far, as of yesterday, no respite. So I will attempt to get to Byron this weekend. No, because the last time you did that, you chewed the screen, Charlie. Naughty one. I see she's pooped and I missed a bit. Yucky, Charlie. Yucky. Yucky, Charlie. Yes, I missed a bit up here too. Poopy girl. Are you the poopy king girl? You're the beautiful girl. I love you. So I will attempt to get to Byron this weekend. I need the sea and the serenity and to be surrounded by people who are just vibing on the positive energies of that most spiritual place. I was harassed by an awful evil woman a few weeks ago. I immediately got a weird throat infection which travelled to my chest and is now back in my throat with the attendant asthma. 2 other friends devastated me in the past week, even knowing I am sick and distressed. This is akin to kicking me when I was already down and is callow, cowardly and disgusting. I guess they hoped I would just die. Well, I won't. Not for them. My health has always been precarious, and I have always fought for my rights regardless of what monsters I was fending off at the time, human or bacterial or viral. I do get very sick at times, or my body completely shuts down in survival mode. But when I get up again, watch out, world. That was in response to an article on thespiritscience.net. Colds are caused by conflicts, wearing down your immune system, people. That's why it's dangerous to have toxic people in your life. As soon as you identify them as toxic, well, I like to give people three chances, 3 strikes, then they're out. But as soon as you identify it, start detaching very quickly, because they will only deplete you, in my case, at times to the point of suicide, people. Evil is what it was. www.independent.co.uk. Call a domestically violent and abusive relationship volatile. Your sympathy is with the perpetrator. Excellent and true. Denial involves using euphemisms for ugly truths so perpetrators can hide behind the fear they generated. Hot as Hades. Wish I owned my own pool again. I'd never leave it. Time to visit the ocean and cleanse my energy meridians. Tomorrow I'm having a melanoma on my hand cut out. Ouchies. Dreading it. Well, I had a few melanomas cut out. Quite a few scars on my hand now. The joys of living in Queensland, people, when you're a blonde, white, hobbit woman who had too much sun exposure even in New Zealand, which, believe it or not, is far more damaging the light in New Zealand than it is in Australia. Here at least I get a tan. New Zealand I was forever burning and peeling, burning and peeling, burning and peeling. It was not cool, people. 17th of February 2013. Quote of the day by Janice Ian. Janice Ian posted, this is her quote of the day. She likes to post. Actually haven't seen her come up on my Facebook page much. I don't know whether she's stopped using Facebook or whether I've just been culled from her page. Although I don't see why that would have happened. But anyway, quote of the day: don't be afraid of death so much as an inadequate life. Bertolt Brecht. And by the gods, that's a truism, isn't it? There's nothing worse than a mediocre, boring, lackluster, inadequate life spent with people who are cold and empty and vapid and sadistic and cruel. By the gods. I had to learn that lesson the hard way, didn't I, Dave? And Sarah and all the other awful, spineless, vicious enemies I had back in the scene at former years in the casino. Had to kick them all to the curb, babies. 3 hours nap. Not enough. Not nearly enough. Grr. Crystal coming to pick up furniture items this evening. Car loaded with stuff to take over to Lynn's. Aching legs. No sleep. Why? But happy anyway. Crap. Been in bed over an hour and still not sleeping. Might as well get up, move some furniture items downstairs ready for Crystal and Brendan to pick up, and keep wrapping china for the garage sale or for charity. Feet sore, legs aching, but can't sleep. Still happy, though. Charlie, don't climb that. No, come here. Oh, naughtiness. Oh, sorry, I just don't want you pooping in my hair, that's all. It's a bit gross. P.S. I am happy, Charlie. P.P.S. I am happy to have my Crystal back. P.P.P.P.S. I am happy Jared and Crystal and I worked as such a great team, just like the old days. I will have more room in my house. P ad nauseum to infinitum. I am happy. Good night. Good morning. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Happiness in those days was kind of a novelty and an emotion I hadn't experienced too often. Can you tell that I was excited about actually being happy for once? I can say I've had a lot more happiness in the last few years. Even in the face of the horrific COVID epoch, I've become happier and more my true nature, which was always a happy little soul, even though I was completely, utterly oppressed and destroyed and decimated by my filthy family of origin. I am by nature, in spite of my darkness and my absurd sense of humour and my gallows humour, I am by nature a happy person. Who knew? 5:14 a.m. Finally done talking in Paltalk while wrapping all the unwanted china and crystal, so I got no sleep that night. Big declutter session which started at 5 p.m. Lol. Thanks to Crystal and Jared for helping me let go of excess stuff and helping me sort through it. It was epic and I still have a lot to wrap up, but tomorrow, or should I say later today, is another day. I let go of stuff I thought I could never part with. Let's hope this big clearance in my energetic field means more good times are a-coming, and not that I have presciented another house move. I really love this house and want to stay here. Update, 17th of February 2019. This decluttering has been going on for over 6 years. Still dreaming of a clear, clean, serene life surrounded by authentic loves. It must be coming soon, as my house is almost cleared. To my handsome, beautiful, sweet, loyal, faithful, adoring, authentic loves, I honour you, I see you, I value you, and I adore you. And on that note, thus concludes today's readings, and it's now 2:31 p.m. Have a beautiful day, beautiful Saturday. Enjoy your beloved ones that surround you, your family, your friends, your lovers, your spouses, your partners, your pets, your children, the wild ones in your own sacred space gardens. Enjoy everything, my darlings. Be the love that, in my case, was long denied me. Hold true like glue, and never, ever, ever let the bastards grind you down. Love always. Love is the law.